Commissioner Ada Corral Sepulveda here, and we are at our fifth annual Monarch Fest. Woo-woo! And today I have a really special guest with us, Shane from the Wild Dryad. Hey!
Hello.
How are you, Shane?
I'm doing good.
So, what brings you out to our Monarch Fest?
Well, here to talk about native pollinators, trying to get people to
Love
care
it.
more about our native plants and wild flora to get people to help bring up diversity in wild spaces.
Absolutely. Now, you all know the monarch butterfly, very dear to my heart. And therefore, if you've been paying attention, this summer we did a whole series on the milkweed and the seeds and how they sprout and all the little critters around it. Crunchy, munchy, and chunky were our caterpillars that visited this season. And I just want to tell you guys a little bit about why the milkweed plant is one of my favorites. Now, first of all, if you like monarchs, if you want to save a monarch, you have to plant milkweed. Now, milkweed is the only plant that a monarch butterfly will lay its eggs on. The only plant that a monarch butterfly will lay its eggs on. And do you know why that is?
Why there's the only plant?
Yeah,
Well, for certain species of pollinators, sometimes they have a one-to-one ratio where people are more research is coming out about specific specialized pollinators having a one-to-one association with certain plants. Now, just because a monarch may lay their eggs on milkweed solely, that doesn't mean that they're not the only flower that they visit.
that's
So,
true.
by pollinating a wide diversity of wildflowers, not only can you help attract monarch butterflies, but you also can get so many more different pollinators that you may have not even seen before just in your yard coming.
Absolutely. So diversity is the key. Milkweed being a part of that diverse ecosystem is very critical. So the milkweed, it gets its name from this milky substance. Yes? And the young butterfly will lay its egg, a caterpillar will hatch, and the caterpillar will feed on the leaf. And there's toxins in this leaf that help the caterpillar ward off predators. So that's why the monarch butterfly really depends on this particular plant and others, of course. You know, they'll fly around and pollinate and get nectar from other plants as well. But to lay their eggs, this one is critical. Now, another really great benefit,
Hmm.
the deep root systems. This plant is native to Illinois. And while you might see it a little short here, it grows to be quite tall. I have some at home. They're about this tall right now from the ground up, but their root systems are quite deep as well. They're very resistant to drought and they're great for when it rains in absorbing water. So it's good for flood prevention. It's part of our green infrastructure. At MWRD, we give out free seeds that you can plant. I started with just a few plants, and now I've got a whole takeover of the side of my house of milkweed. We also have wild flowers and other that just have that diversity that you were talking about. But
It's also important to note that not only is milkweed good for infrastructure, the reason why that is because prairie is one of the most endangered ecosystems that you
that's
can
right.
find worldwide. And specifically in Illinois, historically, majority of Illinois used to be prairie, and all of that used to be grazed by bison and other wild flora and
Right.
fauna. And by placing stuff that's localized to a certain area, you're able to create more habitat for localized species of insects and other flora. And in the case of these, not only do those roots go down and help with water prevention, but it also helps break up and loosen up the soil and helps. The reason why agriculture is so big in Illinois because of that history of those deep roots and prairie that was in the area too.
Now, I hear you're a big forager.
Yes,
What can you tell me about foraging the milkweed plant?
it's important to note that milk. There's many different species of milkweed. This is the common one.
That's right.
That you will find mostly in a lot of abandoned roadsides in different areas, but it also you can find it in prairies too. Ideally, there's different stages of being able to gather wild plants, and it really just depends on the area that you're gathering for. So, make sure you're 100% sure. Make sure you're not misidentifying anything or going to polluted areas or roadsides, and knowing the local rules and regulations of certain areas where you go and gather these things. the goal of what I try to teach is to get people to not only plant more of these things, but also, even if people are gathering things, we can create more habitats to where other plants like milkweed and other things can grow in different areas. But what's edible on this, right? Oh my God. So not only the prize on them is going to be earlier in the season. So many, and it's worth to note that in many indigenous cultures used to eat milkweed, specifically the Anishinaabe tribes around the Chicagoland area, right?
Cool.
And they would eat it very similar to asparagus, those very early young shoots. They would pop up and you would blanch them. That's what we call considered boiling, a few changes of water.
So you definitely want to eat them cooked?
Yes.
Not raw?
Not raw, no.
Not raw, okay. What happens if you eat them raw?
That same gummy latex that's in there when the plant gets more mature can you really want to make sure that you're blanching it.
Okay.
Blanching boils out water soluble toxins that are in plants.
Okay, very good.
But just once you cook them, it's fine. Same thing with a lot of other edible plants and mushrooms.
I hear the roots are also edible.
Now, personally, I would not go say that that's not the case, but it's just I haven't had that much experience with it. Personally, I've only eaten the very young fruits, and I've also experimented with the flower tops. You can make them into baked goods, make simple syrups, even make wine. It has a very floral smell to it. That's really nice.
So honey gets a lot of its scent, I think, from milkweed because you can sort of get the taste and smell from local honey. I've noticed that now that when I plant my milkweed and it's blooming, oh, it smells like honey, and it's got that really beautiful, strong scent.
And certain flowers, to really side note about not necessarily milkweed, but other plants. Have you ever seen linden trees? Those really yellow, kind of flowering trees you'll see around Chicagoland area. Those make honey mentholated. So if bees go in there and you'll eat the honey, it kind of has it like if you ever eat mint gum, or it gives you that cooling feeling. So they have different markets where you can specialize honey just based off of certain kinds of plants that the bees are eating.
Very cool. Now, I see you've got other stuff going on at your table. What is this here?
These are wildflower seeds. So these are gathered locally to the Chicagoland area. And it's important to note that seeds that are very local to the area, the more localized you can get them, the better. Because we want to keep not only the diversity of many different kinds of species, but also keeping the diversity within the same exact species, right? So let's say you have milkweed that's growing, I don't know, in your backyard. And your backyard is very wet and loves it there. If I live in an area, it's the same kind of milkweed that's more dry, maybe that has slightly different genetics, that likes being in more drier areas, even though it's the same species. We want to have as much of a range.
So mix it up.
Yes.
Okay.
It makes the ecosystem more resilient.
Right. Because it's drought resistant, but it's good at collecting water. But if you share local, keep that diversity even within the same species, you make it stronger.
Yes.
Okay, very cool.
These are localized wildflower seeds. It's not only just flowers, but also grasses and sedges that help make up wild prairies. So what I've got people doing here today is gathering some of these, and these are seed bombs that people can make.
Love it.
By mixing wild clay and some soil in there.
Okay.
And we've got some water as well to help.
All right, we'll get a little messy. Okay, check out the bling over here. Yeah. We're celebrating our pollinator, but we'll get it messy.
And what we'll do is just in the center, I'll just roll some of these seeds into that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it just gets stuck in there. Okay.
So over time, what these are going to do is when we throw them out in certain areas or your own yard or different spots that doesn't have that much diversity, over time, this clay is going to wash away when it rains and breaks down.
Okay.
And then these seeds are adapted to be in heavy clay. Okay. So they'll break down, and over a couple of years, you'll start to see some wildflowers come in.
Okay. So is that about good or a little more?
Yeah. And you can make these, wouldn't get them larger than about 1 inch size bulb.
Okay.
But these can stay dormant in the soil for many, many years in a certain spot.
And you got a little bit of water here, so we can make it a little bit more malleable, right? We'll just squirt a little water in there.
So this is sorry about that. So this is clay that's localized to my area, so it does tend to dry out a lot faster than store-bought clay.
All right, let's see if we can. No worries. There it goes.
There we go. What's happening here? There we go.
It's on break. Putting it to work. Okay, and then you just mull it around. Oh, that works out nicely. So you just get it a little wet. You could probably do this with any dirt.
Yep.
that just you can sort of mold. But I like the idea of having like a fun little craft that people can make, and then you literally just
Yep.
drop them everywhere. Just bomb the neighborhood with wildflowers and wild plants.
And it's one last thing to know. It's important to make sure if you are gathering wild seeds to not get any ones from box stores. Sometimes they can have flowers or different things from different areas that
Right.
are not local to the area and actually can do more harm than good,
Yeah.
depending on what seeds are in there.
And if you are looking to forage some milkweed seeds, right about now, some of the plants are developing their pods. Okay, those pods, don't mess with them. Leave them. If you want to control and manage your area and how much the milkweed is spreading, pop them off. But if you want to grow more, let them settle into the fall, and then they'll dry up a little bit, and then they'll have those little cotton balls and they'll float around. So you can pop them off in advance and then maybe share them with your neighbor. There are a lot of local garden clubs that they exchange milkweed seeds. You can bring them to a seed exchange event, or you can just sprinkle them around in areas that you want them to grow. But those pods, just leave them there. You don't need to cut down the milkweed plant unless you're trying to manage its growth. But you can let that milkweed just kind of hang out all through the winter, and then come spring, then you can sort of remove what's left over. But a lot of the pollinators use that to sort of burrow and hibernate. Now, the seeds, important to plant them in the fall. These seeds for the milkweed plant need to winterize, and then they'll pop up in the spring. If you plant them in the spring from direct seed, they're not going to really grow much. Well, thank you so much, Shane. I really appreciate you sharing with us on what you know about foraging and making these awesome wildflower bombs.
Yeah.
Thanks.